You're doing 65 on the highway. Beat. Your phone buzzes with a new lead. You can't safely text back right now, so you tell yourself you're going to handle it when you park the car. You finally pull over 20 minutes later and reach out. But they've already booked a viewing with the agent across town. It is a terrible feeling. You basically watch the opportunity slowly fade away simply because you were busy doing your actual job. 2 sec silence. Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're exploring lesson 2 of How to AI in Real Estate.
Right, and that awful feeling of losing a lead is exactly what we're tackling today. In this deep dive, we're going to explore how AI helps real estate agents respond faster. We'll look at how to qualify leads, write better messages, and, ultimately book more appointments.
Because we already established the baseline in lesson 1, AI tools basically function as your dedicated digital assistants.
Yeah, exactly. So today we look at the practical application. We're getting into the actual business advantage of using them.
I think we should start by looking at the broader landscape. If you're listening to this, you might be wondering if AI is just a passing trend. Let's look at the 2025 National Association of Realtors Technology Survey.
Oh, yeah, that survey's fascinating.
It really is. It reveals that 66% of realtors use tech mainly to save time. Meanwhile, 64% use it to improve the client experience.
Yeah, those numbers tell a very clear story about what agents actually value on a daily basis. And that survey also notes something really interesting about CRM platforms. Customer relationship management software is now considered a top lead-generating technology.
Oh, wow. Wait, really?
Yeah, it sits right there just behind social media in terms of pure effectiveness.
Okay, let's unpack this. The data shows agents want their time back. But how do we ensure we're using these tools to genuinely support the sales process, rather than just, playing with flashy technology?
Well, because real estate is fundamentally a speed and trust business. The very first useful response a client gets shapes the entire rest of the conversation.
Makes sense.
If you're playing with flashy tech just to make cool images, you're missing the point. AI handles the practical, everyday sales work. We're talking about immediate lead review and instant follow-up. You apply these tools directly to those foundational tasks to get ahead.
So the real value is supporting the everyday sales process.
Precisely. You use AI to remove the operational friction so you can focus on the actual humans involved.
Since speed shapes the conversation, we really must examine exactly how much speed matters. We've all heard that faster is better, but the inside sales research puts a hard number on it.
It does. They analyzed over 55 million sales activities.
55 million.
Yeah, it's a massive data set. And the results are striking. Conversion rates are literally 8 times higher when your follow-up happens in the first 5 minutes.
Wow.
Think about the psychology there. In that first 5-minute window, the buyer is still sitting at their computer. They're
Right.
still in that emotional state of looking at photos, imagining their life in a new kitchen. By minute 10 or 15, they're back to answering stressful work emails.
The emotional window just completely closes. A lead goes cold incredibly quickly. A buyer gets distracted by a phone call. Or a seller might talk to another agent before they even go to lunch.
Exactly.
That pressure is intense for a busy agent. But wait, if I get a response in 2 minutes flat, my radar immediately goes off. I'm going to assume I'm talking to a bot. Does responding with AI in under 5 minutes compromise the human relationship?
I mean, that's the most common fear. But the agent still reviews the message. You always control the relationship.
Right.
AI simply reads the details from the lead form and prepares a highly specific draft for you. You're no longer starting from a blank page, just staring at a blinking cursor. You just get to the human connection phase much faster because the heavy lifting is already done.
Speed gives you a massive advantage in making that connection.
It absolutely does. It opens a door that a slow response would simply slam shut forever.
Speed is crucial, yeah. But speed without judgment just creates noise. If we respond instantly to every single inquiry with equal energy, we just burn out. We absolutely need to filter these incoming leads.
This is where we bring in Claude as the thinking assistant. We need to define this process clearly. Lead qualification means deciding how serious a lead is.
Right. It's separating the pre-approved buyers from the casual window shoppers.
Yeah. And the problem is the massive amount of time it takes a human to manually read every single inquiry and make that judgment call. So we use a specific framework for this AI triage.
Okay, how does that work?
If a lead provides a clear budget and a clear timeline, Claude flags them as ready for a call. If they only mention a location and a property type, Claude notes that they need targeted questions. And if they provide very little detail, Claude suggests they just need a basic clarifying message.
Whoa, imagine every lead getting reviewed before you even open your inbox.
Right, it completely changes your daily workflow. Think about waking up on a Saturday morning. Usually, you open your phone to 40 messy emails, texts, and website forms. It's overwhelming.
Oh, absolutely.
But with Claude running in the background, you open your CRM and see everything already sorted. The messy details become clear analytical categories. You immediately see the 3 people who are ready to buy this month, and you focus your energy exactly there.
It feels exactly like having a triage nurse for your business.
Mm-hmm.
A patient walks into the emergency room. The nurse checks the vitals, assesses the urgency, and puts the patient in the correct room.
That's a perfect analogy.
The nurse doesn't perform the surgery, but they organize the flow. So how does the AI handle messy, vague information from a casual buyer?
An AI-assisted agent uses Claude to separate leads by urgency precisely by looking for those missing pieces. If a buyer sends a rambling paragraph about wanting a house near a good school but mentions absolutely nothing about budget or a timeline, Claude catches that.
Oh, nice.
It organizes that chaos. It tells the agent, hey, this person is missing financial qualification. Then the agent spends their premium time on the people who are actually ready for real conversations.
AI organizes the chaos so you can make better decisions.
It gives you your sanity back.
Once we know who the lead is and how urgent their needs are, communication is the next major hurdle. We transition here to using ChatGPT as the writing assistant. Because knowing a lead is hot doesn't help if I send them a canned, boring email.
Oh, for sure. Let's contrast 2 different approaches. A weak, generic follow-up says, hi, thanks for reaching out. Let me know if you have any questions.
We've all seen that email.
We've all deleted that email. That message lacks any real effort. It gives the client 0 reason to reply. A strong, specific message is entirely different. It mentions their exact criteria.
Right.
It acknowledges their situation, comments on their specific neighborhood of interest, and confidently asks for a 15-minute call. That specific message creates real momentum. It proves you're paying attention right from the very first interaction.
Here's where it gets really interesting for me. How do we actually prompt the system to do this? How do we prevent these messages from sounding like a robot wrote them? Because we all know that sterile, robotic tone that ChatGPT defaults to.
Review is the golden rule here. You have to ask ChatGPT to write in your specific tone. You tell the prompt, write this in a casual, conversational tone. Do not use overly formal real estate jargon.
Makes sense?
Then, the most important part happens. You read the draft and adjust the details before sending it. It must sound like you. The AI provides a customized draft based on Claude's analysis, and you perfect it with your human touch.
Personalized context gives the lead a clear reason to reply. Beat. If this kind of practical AI workflow helps you, subscribe to AI Fire. We break down AI tools, sales automation ideas, and beginner-friendly systems you can actually use.
Getting those foundational systems in place is incredibly important for scaling your daily efforts.
Let's take all these abstract concepts and apply them right now. We can look at a real-world scenario to see how the gears actually turn.
We can bring back Sarah from Lesson 1.
Right, our hypothetical buyer.
Exactly. Sarah wants a 3-bedroom home in Austin. Her budget is $450,000 to $500,000, and she's moving in exactly 90 days. She fills out a form on your website with this information.
We can map the exact flow for her journey through the system. The new lead form goes directly into the CRM. Claude immediately reads her details and creates a summary.
Yep.
ChatGPT takes that summary and drafts a highly personalized follow-up message. A task reminder is set for the agent. Finally, Sarah reads the great email, and you get a booked call.
That entire sequence happens automatically in the cloud. The tools hand the data to each other seamlessly. You set up the logic once, and the software executes it every single time a new person hits submit.
I want to visualize the reality of this for the listener. What is actually happening in the background while the agent is physically across town showing another house to a different client?
Picture this. You're fumbling with a lockbox key at a property. Meanwhile, the automation handles the entire immediate reception for Sarah. System.io captures Sarah's form submission. It triggers Claude. Claude analyzes the budget and timeline and tags her as a warm buyer in your database. ChatGPT uses that tag to draft a custom reply mentioning Austin in the 90-day window. Zapier connects all these steps and sets a reminder on your phone.
That is wild.
Right. When you finally get back to your car and look at your phone, you just see a draft ready to approve. You return to a clear, actionable path.
The system transforms scattered details into a single, clear action.
It acts as an incredibly efficient and visible administrative layer for your business.
Executing the Sarah workflow obviously requires specific tools. We need different software doing very specific jobs. Let's break down the actual tool stack behind this advantage.
Let's recap the roles clearly so nobody gets overwhelmed. ChatGPT handles the writing and communication drafting. Claude handles the thinking, reasoning, and lead qualification. Zapier is the digital glue.
Connecting everything together, right?
Exactly. It moves the data from one app to another. And Canva is there to build your visual assets and marketing materials.
We also need a central place to store all this information and capture the leads. System.io is a great beginner-friendly CRM for this. Now, we often hear about other platforms. Go High Level is very powerful for marketing agencies. ClickFunnels is incredibly strong for building dedicated landing pages.
Choosing the right starting point is critical here. Go High Level is amazing, but it's like a fighter jet. If you don't know how to fly it, you will crash. ClickFunnels is great for specific campaigns, but it feels a bit less natural for a daily, simple CRM.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You want a tool that matches your current operational skill level. System.io is like a highly reliable car that just gets you safely to your destination.
This raises an interesting question for me. I can hear people wondering right now. Why shouldn't a new agent just buy the most complex, expensive tool right out of the gate? Why not buy the fighter jet so you have all the features you might ever need?
Because beginners get stuck when a platform is too complex. When you log in and see 100 different confusing dashboards, you get paralyzed. You end up doing nothing.
The paralysis is real.
System.io provides a very clean, straightforward starting point for forms, funnels, and basic client organization. Every tool you use must support the exact same simple sales outcome, getting a qualified person on the phone.
Simple tools keep you focused on the actual sales outcome.
They completely remove the technological distraction from your primary goal.
We have the tools and the workflow covered. We know how to capture Sarah and how to draft her message. But how does this actually translate to getting a client on the phone? How do we bridge the gap between sending an email and having a real conversation?
Appointments happen because the lead feels deeply understood. The next step is always remarkably clear to them. Think about Sarah. When she reads an email that says, "I see you need to move to Austin in 90 days with a budget of $500,000. Let's chat tomorrow." She feels heard.
Right.
AI enhances this comprehension significantly by ensuring no detail is ever missed.
It allows for very specific calls to action. You can offer a short discovery call for buyers like Sarah. You could automatically offer a home valuation for sellers. Or you can set up a long-term nurture sequence for cold leads who are 12 months out.
The AI ensures you're always offering the right next step based on the data. The client feels valued immediately because the response is tailored to their exact situation.
I often think about the philosophical link here. If you're listening to this thinking, I don't know, automating my communication feels a little inauthentic, I completely get it. Does automating tasks actually build trust? Or does it slowly erode it?
Trust develops through little things.
Yeah.
It's not always built in grand gestures. Quick responses, thoughtful inquiries about their specific needs, and timely reminders prove that you're a highly reliable professional.
Yeah.
AI simply makes you remarkably consistent, and consistency creates trust over time.
Reliable, consistent follow-up is exactly how you build client trust.
It demonstrates your professional competence before you even speak your first word to them on the phone.
Theory is completely useless without actual application. We need to give you a place to start today. We need a practical exercise.
I strongly advise you to avoid automating your entire business at once. That is a recipe for disaster. Focus only on one specific bottleneck. Focus entirely on faster follow-up for new buyer leads.
Here is the specific task for you to try. Take the Sarah example. Open up Claude. Type in her details manually. Ask Claude for a summary, a qualification assessment, and a recommended next step. Watch how it thinks through the data.
Then you take those exact details from Claude and bring them into ChatGPT. Ask it for a friendly 15-minute call invite based on that specific summary. Ask it to use a warm, professional tone. See what it generates.
I want to clarify the stakes here. Why is it so important to practice this manually before hooking up Zapier and fully automating the whole sequence?
This is the absolute foundational skill. You must learn how to manually turn lead details into action yourself before you can possibly trust a complex system to do it for you while you're sleeping.
Yeah.
You need to understand the underlying mechanics first so you can spot errors. Taking that one small step builds your core AI skills.
It builds the baseline confidence required to expand your automated systems safely later on. Ultimately, AI helps real estate agents become faster, clearer, and far more consistent. It reduces the blank page problem and brilliantly organizes messy details.
But the human still matters, right?
Oh, completely. The human agent still matters most for establishing trust, negotiating, and providing personal guidance. AI simply handles the heavy lifting to support the vital work around that human relationship.
Think about how this level of unwavering consistency might actually change your reputation in your local market over the next 5 years. AI is not just buying you a few extra hours of free time today, it is quietly building your professional legacy for tomorrow. Beat. Subscribe to AI Fire for more practical AI workflows, real estate automation lessons, and beginner-friendly systems you can build step by step.